So we finally know what CM Punk is going to be doing at WrestleMania 40. CM Punk made a return to Monday Night Raw in Chicago. He came out in the middle of the ring talking to the fans. He still got the whole robotic arm thing going on. The question mark was going to be, what will Punk do at WrestleMania 40? Punk even alluded in his promo talking about he could just show up, he could host, he could be a special guest referee, even on commentary. We did in fact find out that Punk will be at WrestleMania 40 and he will do commentary. And he will do commentary for the Seth Rollins Drew McIntyre match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Is this the best solution, best idea for Punk? They teased the special guest referee piece during this promo where Punk got down and Seth made fun of him that he can't even use his good arm. So he used the other arm and he counted to 3. The crowd chanted along with it. It was really good. And we'll talk about this whole promo, this whole segment overall too. But I thought, okay, if we're gonna get Punk at WrestleMania, great, I'm happy he's gonna be there. I wanna hear Cult of Personality and Punk come out in front of like 100,000 people. It'll be great. And he's gonna be involved in the title match. This is good, because that's what he was supposed to do, is he was supposed to go up against Seth Rollins before he got injured. Is this the best use though? I gotta be honest, I think that we're probably gonna get a little bit more of Punk during this whole match itself at Mania. Him sitting at commentary isn't what I wanted. I wanted Punk to be special guest referee. That could still happen. Like, he could still slide in the ring and bust out a ref shirt, do something. Him just sitting at commentary at WrestleMania 40, while Punk is really good on the mic, great on the mic, but he's also really good at commentary itself. I think it's gonna be good, but it's just not the same as if I could get Punk in the ring. Maybe they're concerned about him being injured and anything happening to him, and obviously being at ringside is the safest thing. It's still gonna be fun for the live crowd to be able to see that he is sitting there. It's gonna be great sitting at home and you can hear Punk on commentary during the match, but you gotta figure that something is going to happen here during this matchup between Drew and Seth. I've needed a little bit more with this match. Seth and Drew have been going at it for a very long time. Drew is heating up, and what we saw on Raw with this promo, I loved it. I love Drew's character. I love what he's doing, that he is a troll, that he's obsessed with Punk. Like, there's layers and layers to Drew McIntyre. Seth is involved in lots of things. He's got Punk going on, he's got Drew, he's got the bloodline. Seth is very, very busy as well. And I gotta feel, out of all of this, they need to put that belt on Drew McIntyre. Now, I would have loved it if CM Punk was going to be special guest referee for this, because I would have loved to see CM Punk reluctantly counting to 3 and giving the championship to Drew McIntyre. That's what I wanted to see. But we might get something kind of like this in terms of commentary, where CM Punk announces your new World Heavyweight Champion is Drew McIntyre. Get a face-to-face. You could even get Punk in the ring at the end of the match, assuming Drew wins, but if it's Drew or Seth, Punk slides into the ring at the end, whoever retains or wins the championship, and then you could end up having a stare down and face to face. Because the bigger match is going to be Punk versus whoever. Punk versus Seth or Punk versus Drew. Right now, the match for me is Punk versus Drew McIntyre. When Punk came out to Monday Night Raw, big fanfare. I loved it. He started talking things up a little bit. We got the interruption by Drew McIntyre. He comes down, and the two of them, including Seth when he later then joined, it all felt very unscripted. It all felt off the cuff. It felt like they had bullet points in a direction they wanted to go in, but it was very loose, and they kind of had a lot of free range with this thing. This felt different than the other promos we've seen Punk in. This felt different for Drew and for Seth. There felt like there was way more weight to all of this, and particularly with Drew McIntyre. Drew going over and sitting on the actual announce table and just chirping and talking to Punk the whole time really showed me how far Drew has come with this character. He has leaned into his heel persona. He's not just like some big baddie bruiser heel. There's layers to him. With everything that happened with the bloodline, everything that's happened with him getting screwed out of the belt over all these years, wanting to go back to WrestleMania like he has said, where he wanted to do it in front of fans this time and have that moment. There's so much weight to what Drew is talking about here, and it makes it more vicious and more interesting and dynamic than just a straight up standard Vince McMahon heel. Speaking of Vince McMahon, CM Punk even referenced Vince McMahon, and he says, "You were the chosen one," to Drew McIntyre. Who appointed you? Who was it? What was his name? That was, like, to me, I'm like, wow, say it without saying it, but that's the edgy kind of stuff that you want from Punk, that you need on Raw, that you need on WWE programming. Talking about Vince McMahon without saying it, you can hear the crowd oohing over this thing. So this really worked for me, this whole dynamic, this back and forth. It made me want to see Punk versus Drew. It also set things up because now you have so many different stories and different directions you can go in with Punk, Seth, and Drew after WrestleMania. CM Punk is not going to be ready for several more months. If we're lucky, we might see Punk in a match at SummerSlam. And if we do, I really hope it's against Drew McIntyre, but we could see a combination of them. We could get the triple threat at SummerSlam. We could get one-on-one of Seth versus Drew. But the great thing about what they have done since Punk got injured, and the kind of the blessing of it all, is that with Punk being out, they've been able to boost up Drew McIntyre. They've been able to do everything with The Rock, Roman Reigns, Cody, Seth in the tag team match, all kind of around the fact that because Punk got injured, they got to pivot and they had to change plans a little bit. But it might end up being better for fans in the long run, because if we get to SummerSlam, you would have had months. And again, if Drew wins, and I hope he does because it's a very interesting story beat, if you got Drew as a big dominant champion, but he spends the next several months just chirping and calling out and trolling CM Punk the whole way to SummerSlam, they could build this into something really, really special. Because Drew going off, and he alluded to this in the promo he did, where he is almost obsessed with CM Punk. Wearing the shirts, yes, but taking it a step further, the way he's talking about him, wanting him to say his name, wanting him to be around him when he wins the title, seeing him, watching him at home, mentioning his name, loving it. Like, there is a really cool character in there that they are exploring with Drew. So if he's got the belt too, it'll be a lot of fun for Punk to show up and say, let's do this, and Drew almost wanting to do it, not shying away from the fight, but wanting to do this. And as a way too early prediction, I don't think Punk should win the belt right away. I think they should wait a while before Punk gets the belt, maybe until Mania 41. Maybe have him win the Rumble and then have him go off to fight Drew or Seth and do the match, even if it was a triple threat at next year's WrestleMania. But again, different stories and different layers of what they could do with this as they go into next year after Mania with CM Punk. The other cool thing was with Seth Rollins getting into the segment, you had the dynamic of all three of them in there. You had Seth playing it more straight-faced when he's dealing with CM Punk, which is the version of Seth Rollins I like. I don't like the goofy, whoa Seth anymore. I've seen it, I've done it, comes out, he dances, but as soon as Seth changes into his more serious shoot, gets real with you, then I feel like there's more weight to Seth Rollins. Then I'm more intrigued about him as a character. And him going face to face with Punk showed me again why I want this match. So then another question I have is, Punk getting injured, was this the best thing that could have happened? Because we've gotten a way more interesting Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins is involved and he's in the main event match of WrestleMania for night one, plus his World Heavyweight title match. This is what's interesting to me, is what were the plans originally with Punk? Was it going to be just Punk, Seth, main event night one, and do that for the World Heavyweight Championship? Probably. It would make the most sense. But when The Rock came in and Punk got injured, then they obviously had to pivot a little bit here, insert Drew McIntyre, and then we got the tag match. And I wonder if the tag match was always the plan. If you were going to get Seth and Cody being the tag team going up against Rock and Roman. Part of me feels like that could have been the plan, but the other half of me feels like it might have actually been Cody and Punk, the two supremely over baby faces. Seth is over, yes he is, but the dynamic between Seth and Punk, Seth was originally coming off as a little bit more heelish, and the fans were very much behind the return and the returning of CM Punk. And for weeks before Punk got injured, you were building up Cody and Punk as friends, establishing or re-establishing that relationship. You could have had it where it was going to be Punk winning the Chamber, for example, and going off to fight Seth, and still do the tag match and involve CM Punk there because of the history he has with The Rock, which would have been good, the relationship with Cody, and Punk possibly doing double duty then. But I don't know. But my earlier prediction for this match, the World Heavyweight Championship, I do think that you are going to get Drew McIntyre holding up that title in front of fans like he said. And I think it's going to cause Seth to break down even more, where Seth has lost the title, potentially loses the tag match against The Rock and Roman Reigns, and then maybe Seth is going to take a little time off and have him disappear for a bit to come refreshed, re-energized, and fight CM Punk when he returns, maybe at SummerSlam. But what did you think of the promo on Raw with CM Punk, with Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins? Comment below, and guys, if you want to talk more about Monday Night Raw, click right here because we're going in depth on The Rock and his segment, his backstage beating that he laid into Cody Rhodes. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. I will see you on the next one. Bye.